Hi, I'm Jim Choate, the VESA Compliance Program Manager. We're at CES 2024, and today we're going to show you what we're demoing, the latest developments and shipping products for DP 2.1 product release.
This looks like a big display, big system here.
Yeah, this is the largest display that we have. It's UHBR 13.5 compliant for the DP 2.1 spec. It's certified and it's shipping, and it's being driven by this AMD 7900 XT gaming GPU.
And we can look at the port just behind here.
Yeah, so let's go check out how it's connected. So here we have two full-size DP outputs and a USB-C output, plus an HDMI, and then we have a single cable coming into the back of the Samsung Neo G9 display. It's the output of this GPU is 13.5 gig capable, and the input to this is 13.5 gig capable. So for a total aggregate bandwidth of 54 gigabits per second, and it's called UHBR 13.5 in the spec.
Nice. And what's the experience people can have with this setup?
Well, let's talk about the cables first. So
yeah.
we talked about the cables. So one of the big challenges that consumers have is, hey, I got this great GPU, I got this great monitor. What do I plug them together with and make sure it still runs right? Because if you get a bad cable or underperforming cable, you can't utilize and get the bandwidth that you want. So last year or 2 years ago, we developed a DP80 certification program for DisplayPort cables and Type-C to DisplayPort adapters. This is
there's a lot of Type-C devices out there, and for example, even smartphones.
Yes.
Could use this cable.
Yes, if they support DisplayPort outputs, which some of them do, and if they support 20 gig per lane up to DP 80 gigabits per second, DP80 certified C to DP cable will be able to drive a external display to the max supported bandwidth that the cable is certified to. And then here, well, this is 0.8 meter or up to a meter typical length for highest end performance cable. But sometimes you want longer reach. So we have the DP40, which is guaranteed to operate and reliably connect a 10 gigabit source channel to a laptop, or I mean a display that supports up to 10 gig ultra high bit rate. So we call it DP40 because it's 10 times 4 for 4 lanes, so 40 gigabits per second.
Are those both passive?
These are both fully passive cables. They're certified and commercially available today. What we've announced, 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago, was DP54. So what does that mean? So as we found out in implementation, this GPU supports 13.5 gig times 4 for 54 gigabits per second total aggregate throughput. And so does this display. It's kind of a sweet spot for this kind of resolution and implementation. But there was no guarantee by spec on electrical performance that a DP40 cable would work with 13.5 gig source and sink. We initially said, well, you need this cable, but it's limited in length. So we've spent a lot of engineering time, simulation, and measurement to verify that most DP40 cables will work at the DP54 rate, but we created a spec and a certification program that requires certification at that performance level so that a consumer who has a 13.5 gig source, 13.5 gig sink, buys a DP54 cable, then it will work at that rate.
And in the calculation before, you said there was four
lanes.
Full lanes in the cable. There's 4 lanes.
4 lanes.
And each lane is?
Well, for this cable, it would be 20 gig per lane, total aggregate bandwidth of 80 gigabits per second. That's why we came up with the DP80 logo. This is DP40. It's 4 lanes at 10, so 4 times 10, 40. And then 13.5 times 4 is 54.
So it is 3.5 gigs extra than the 10.
Yeah.
And that's the requirement here.
That's the new requirement. So these aren't logoed to 54, but that's our new logo requirement. The lowest tier will be 54 because if you want to put your PC on the ground in the back and connect to a display, This cable doesn't have the reach to get there. So it kind of half split the difference and made it more convenient for end users to get a longer cable at the middle tier bandwidth requirement to be able to reliably drive their system or the performance that they want without the length constraint where you have to have it really close to
it has to do with the limitations with passive cables, that you don't want to have interference and loss of performance if they become too long?
Correct. The longer your cable, the more ISI or inter-symbol interference you have with a passive cable. There's more jitter, more loss. So you have a practical limit and an electrical limit for the length of the cable. But
Are there a lot of optical cables?
there are, but we don't have any certification program. They tend to be very proprietary, and they have other challenges like power, the sideband channels, etc. So we're working on active cable certification now. Stay tuned for announcements by VESA, maybe by Display Week, on when we might have those programs in place to certify active cables. There's a couple different variants of what those are and how we would test them, but we're still working on that in the spec committees and certification program definitions.
So this is very impressive, immersive display experience. I hope it's not too expensive. Is it a little bit expensive? It could be.
Depends on what you consider too expensive.
Yeah, and it's really immersive, and like people love playing gaming this kind of configuration.
Yeah, so this gives you kind of covers completely your peripheral vision, so it really gives you kind of an immersive feeling when you have these wraparound displays. And this is 8K 2K running at 240 hertz, so you've got a really good refresh rate and also really good field of view and really high resolution imaging and color.
But I would be thinking, you know, like I would be thinking it would be nice to have a higher on like just a maybe regular height and have the whole height. Isn't that more immersive than just having a long display?
Yeah, it's a trade-off, right? You have to drive the horizontal and the vertical and the refresh rate. So the deeper it is or taller it is, then it's more bandwidth that the GPU has to drive and the panel has to support. This is the trade-off this manufacturer made, and it's 8K 2K, and it really doesn't detract from the whole experience, in my opinion. The peripheral vision you see, it's weird when you play it. This would be lost because you have to turn your head like this. But when you're going forward in the game, you see this stuff in your side view, but you really don't notice that it's a little shorter tall-wise. But it's a design trade-off. We'll show you the Dell 6K over here that basically has it's a more conventional 6K display versus 8K 2K. This is a 32 to 9 ratio, so it's wider than it is tall.
Nice.
But.
That's cool. All right.
All right, so then we'll cut over here.
Hi, I'm Roland Worcester. I'm from Intel Corporation, but within VESA, I'm chair of the Display Performance Metrics work group. So that's the work group at VESA where we develop all the front of screen standards that you've seen for display HDR, adaptive sync, clear MR. Okay?
So what do we see here?
So this demo here is a UHBR20 demo. This is DisplayPort 2.1, and what we have, that's the Synaptics hub, and this is a Realtek hub that you're looking at, the one with the yellow stickers. And this is connected from a single cable, UHBR20 speed, into the hub, and then the hub is driving multiple monitors, 2 monitors in this case. One 6K monitor, one 4K monitor, and simultaneously running the internal panel over EDP. But the UHBR20 link from the laptop going into the hub and able to drive multiple displays. And this hub has 4 outputs. This, I think, has 6 configurations. I don't know if you can run all 6 simultaneously, but it has the capability to split the video signal and then re-encode it from UHBR20 that's coming in from the laptop into UHBR13 going to this monitor, and HBR3 going to this monitor, and whatever kind of configuration you would need for other monitors that are attached.
So UHBR, what does it stand for?
Ultra high bit rate. And so this is there are 3 performance standards in DP 2.1 that use UHBR. There's UHBR10, of which you have 4 lanes in the cable, so that's your DP40. Then there's UHBR13.5 multiplied by 4 again gives you the DP54. And then the maximum clock rate is the UHBR20 with 4 lanes giving you DP80.
Wow, so you're getting a certain bit bandwidth per lane?
Yes.
Or and somehow you can add more lanes if you want?
Yeah, well, you have 4 lanes. So you get the 4 lanes, 80 DP80 speed, 80 gigabit connection for display. And so that enables you to drive multiple displays on a single cable.
For example, the M1 MacBook had some kind of issue that people couldn't get so many displays out. So they were using DisplayLink to do some, and that's a where they compress the displays and output them through USB and stuff like that. But this one is uncompressed displays?
Yeah, I can't speak to the MacBook. I mean, I think that may be talking about the number of displays the GPU can actually drive. I mean, Intel-based platforms can drive 4 displays. So you can link to 4 displays of different resolutions or different configurations. But the demo that we're really focused on here is the link rate of the UHBR cable or the USB-C cable with UHBR running at UHBR20 into the hub to give you a DP80 link out to multiple displays.
So if I understand correctly, some of these laptops have USB with a 40 gigabit support, which is kind of like a USB 4, but now it's called 40 gigabit.
Yeah, there's Thunderbolt will go higher than that. So the Thunderbolt links at 80.
80,
yeah, and this is Intel's latest Meteor Lake Core Ultra platform that was announced a month ago, and this was purchased in retail a couple of weeks ago.
Nice. So this is the latest platform. It's got 80 gigabit.
Yeah, this
Type-C.
is UHB. This is DP80 links coming out over the USB-C Thunderbolt ports. Yeah.
So when the USB implementers forum is going to say USB cable with 80 gigabit logo on it, it's going to be compatible with this.
I would think so.
Yeah?
I can't speak to that.
Yeah?
I'm not sure.
So this is Type-C here, and on the other side.
This is Type-C.
there.
It's Type-C on both ends. Yeah, I don't know about the USB forum enough to.
Yeah, and then it splits out.
And then
for example, what
this
comes
is
from the 80
USB.
gigabits?
This is USB-C out to this monitor with UHBR13 link rate, and then this is connecting to the 4K monitor with an HBR3 link rate.
What was the question on the USB-C?
So this Synaptics board is able to split up the bandwidth in all the different displays that you want to support.
Correct.
And just sends the full bandwidth from one cable that goes out of the laptop.
Correct.
Yeah, and it can split the bandwidth. So we're getting the UHBR20, the DP80 into the hub, and then the hub is reconfiguring the bandwidth for each of the displays that are connected appropriately. So this is UHBR13, and then this is HBR3, and if you had other displays connected, they would be whatever the display is requiring as well. And then because you've got DSC, you can compress the bandwidth in from the laptop, and then you could theoretically decompress it in the hub to then reconnect to the displays.
All right, so this could be pretty high resolution, huh? When you talk about 4 displays, they could all be 4K?
Yeah. You could definitely run 4 4K displays on a DP80 link out of a hub, yeah.
It's kind of amazing technology.
Yeah.
That so much data comes out, so much, and I don't know about the compression technology, but it's the high quality
so
image on each of them.
the compression technology for the on DisplayPort is DSC, and so that provides a 3-to-1 compression ratio. So you can squeeze a significant amount of additional pixels, either for higher resolution or higher frame rate, because of the 3-to-1 compression ratio. And the 3-to-1 compression ratio is great because it's been deemed at that level that it's visually lossless. And lots of research has been done on that to support that. And so a lot of display manufacturers are using this DSC compression with no visual side effects.
Nice. And so these displays have DisplayPort on the back?
Yes. This has DisplayPort and USB-C on this 6K monitor. And I think this monitor probably only has DP and, yeah, probably has DP and HDMI.
And so what happens with this one? Does it do
This is
function?
a similar device. This is similar to this. This is from Synaptics. This one's from Realtek. And it's, again, a very similar video hub where you have a USB-C DP80 input and you have multiple display outputs.
All right. One thing I think is a question many people wonder is about these docks. Is going to be hopefully affordable to have this kind of functionality, and what's called
I think
the dock is mainly just for video out.
This is a video dock at this point in time, but I think from a practical sense, some of these docks will provide power as well, so that you don't have to have two cables connected to the laptop. You would just connect the dock, and you would have the power supply would be connected to the dock instead, because this cable can supply power to charge the laptop. So you might have your mouse, your keyboard, some remote storage, or local storage that's outside of the laptop, like a USB or a thumb drive. And that would all be connected to the dock. So it can be a display dock and data dock as well, and work as a hub in that manner with just one cable to the PC.
Just one cable, and because some of these new laptops, they do amazingly fast charging. It's 100 watt or even more. And I think 240 some people talk
I
about.
think the newest standard supports 240.
And when you do the 240 and everything, it's not going to affect the 4 lanes in any way at all. It's just a different thing in the cable. It's a different area that takes all the power.
It can deliver the power while also delivering data bidirectionally.
And the data that you use for displays is not going to affect the USB hard drives, USB SSDs, whatever you connect to.
It's bidirectional. So you've got an 80 gigabit link out to the display. You've got up to 80 gigabit coming back in to the PC from storage and such.
Yeah, but what I'm wondering is if you occupy 13.5 here and 30.5 there and stuff like that, so that means the one cable has to share all that with the other storage and whatever you...
Don't forget, of course, the 13.5, which we call DP54 because you've got 4 lanes, that can be compressed. So if you're also pushing more data backwards or forwards on the link, then you can use DSC. And of course, if you're reading data in to the PC, that's not going to compete with the display because the display is going out, the data's coming in. But if you were storing to the hard drives from the laptop and delivering pixels to the display, then you've got some competition on the data, and then you can use compression.
Is it going to be automatic? The user doesn't have to know that they go on DSC, it just happens?
It automatically configures the DSC to take advantage of the compression, yeah.
Because it is my dream to use a 40 gigabit SSD storage and like super fast video editing.
Right.
Especially this setup, you would want to have a video editor with multiple screens, and you just want to plug one thing in, and then you have all these SSDs connected, and you don't need to buy the most expensive laptop. You can have external storage, and it will be everything in one.
Yeah, and there are solutions coming for asymmetric storage speeds so that you can transmit more than you receive, and that way you'll have even more bandwidth if it's needed. And that's something that can dynamically readjust.
Or maybe it's not a big deal. Maybe there could be a dock that takes 2 cables and just double the bandwidth somehow.
You could certainly have a second dock, and you could have one dock connected to the storage. Or if you had ultra fast storage, you could connect the storage device to one of the Thunderbolt links or the USB-C link, and then the other USB-C link going out to the display dock. So if you ever found yourself in the scenario of being bandwidth constrained in that way, you could just use the other port. And because you can deliver the power from the hub, you don't have to dedicate one of the ports to power.
Yeah, but it's amazing that the new ports do 80 gigabit. But so if you had 2, it's like we're talking 160 gigabit.
Right.
That's a lot to play with on the dock, if the dock could support that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll ever see a single dock running 2 cables, but you could run 2 cables to different devices. So if you had a super fast storage device, you could attach that on one of them, and then the dock could be used for display and everything else.
And so there is some smarts happening somewhere in the laptop. I don't know if it's in the main SoC or somewhere closer to the port that just manages all that. That automatically says, now we're doing display,
Yeah.
or now we're doing power, and now we...
Yeah. I mean, because you don't want display to drop out, display is given a priority. So you can't not deliver to the display, whereas when you're storing to a hard drive, if you need to delay and buffer for a second, you can do that. But the display would be given priority to ensure that you're not dropping frames to the display.
And when we're talking about 80 gigabit and that kind of speed, we're talking about support for all these 8K, 120 hertz displays and everything?
Yeah, you could do 8K 120, definitely. Yeah, on a DP80 with DSC compression, you could definitely do 8K 120.
Plus a bunch of other stuff?
Yes.
Maybe?
Yes.
All right. Great. All right. Thanks a lot.
Pleasure.
So next we'll talk about the same DP 2.1 setup with UHBR capable source and sync, but this is more of an application for video editing, a workstation kind of environment. Again, we have AMD 7900 XT GPU in this system. Max data rate is 13.5 gigabits per second, full-size DP output. Going into this Dell 6K, 13.5 gig capable input on the back. It's got a mini DP input. So you'd need a DP54 cable to connect to it, like I talked before about the speed update we had for cables to give you a longer reach at 13.5 gig. This would be the application that you would use that for. And what we're showing is a DaVinci Resolve video editing software. How would you utilize that bandwidth? In addition to having the 6K 60 hertz display, here we have a 4K 120 hertz display as reference material. Everybody likes multiple displays so they can toggle back and forth. And then when you get into your editing software, you've got really high bandwidth, so low lag, and you want to drag this around to kind of figure out what your transitions between images, you're cutting in cutscenes, switching from one picture to the next, or one video stream to the next. It gives really fast performance without a whole bunch of lag.
It could be really high resolution video editing.
Yeah, this is 6K 60 hertz display, so it's people want, if they're editing 4K images, they want to see everything.
Maybe they're editing 8K footage.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
All right. It's amazing that some of the new platforms can just allow for 8K video editing real time. It's really performant.
Exactly. Video editor people want as much bandwidth as they can get because they want to see every pixel that they're touching. And where do you find certified products like these? Well, obviously you buy them through commercial sites like Amazon or Best Buy or wherever. But if you go to DisplayPort.org, which is one of the VESA certified products listing web pages, we list all the DP certified products that we have past and present in these different categories. So you got TVs, monitors, computing, laptops, cables, where the DP54 cables will be listed when they're getting certified at volume. And you just click on there and you can see every certified cable that chooses to be listed here. And you can search by manufacturers. Let's say we want a DP80 cable. So we have two brands that are commonly certified, BizLink and Wizen. So we go to BizLink, we select that, and that gives you the BizLink. Oh, look, top one is a DP 2.1 DP40 cable, 2 meters in length. Second one is a DP80 cable, 0.8 meters in length. So that gives you the model number, and then you can go search in the websites or wherever you buy your stuff and try to find that cable to make sure your performance that you get with your GPU and your display is met with the cable performance.
So when you go back to reset the search, you can click type filter and you can just say DP80?
Yeah, you can search DP80, DP40, DP8K was our guaranteed performance for the DP 1.4 maximum data rate of HBR3. You get adapters, cables, USB-C adapters. So as you mentioned earlier, C10 to DP adapters, like for a phone, for instance, would also need the same performance if the phone supported higher data rates, and you can get USB-C adapters that also have been certified.
If you click on the reset for the search, and you click DP80, we can see all the different, there's like...
Correct. It'll filter it.
More and more.
And
right?
this is a never-ending process of updating our search tools, because we constantly get questions. Hey, I'm looking for this and this subset of features. We just have to create better filters to search through these things, and that's something we're always working on.
Nice.
But it at least gives the consumer a reference point on where to go to find a cable that's certified and what manufacturer actually adheres to our standards and verifies those through authorized test centers to get the performance that they claim they support. And it's an independent third-party view of their performance through authorized test centers.
Nice, because if the cables aren't certified and they're just like some random stuff on the internet, it might not work.
That's correct. They might, but they might not. And it's buyer beware. So you can also go to, when you're searching for the product, we do strict enforcement of VESA certified claims. So if it says VESA certified DP80 or DP40 or DP8K, this will give you a cross-reference to verify they're not illegally claiming that, and we actively go out and scrub those product listings. We pull thousands of products a year from listings if they're incorrectly claiming certifications that they haven't verified through our authorized test centers.
All right, and the authorized test centers, I guess, in China and everywhere, right?
We have a number in China, a lot of them in Taiwan, a couple in the US, Japan, so they're worldwide.